Picture this. You're on the internal operations team at a fast-growing company. It's 3 p.m., and you need to resolve an urgent issue about updating firewall rules across multiple data centers. Instead of digging through scattered documents or bothering the security team, you open your company's private knowledge assistant. You type, "Show me the step-by-step process for modifying Cisco ASA firewall rules in our production environment, including approval workflows and rollback procedures." The assistant instantly returns a structured answer, quoting directly from the company's internal network operations manual. But here's what you don't see. The system first checks your Active Directory permissions through Microsoft's Authentication framework, verifying you have access to Level 3 network documentation. It then queries a secure Memos instance containing thousands of operational runbooks, using LangChain's RAG capabilities to extract the precise procedure from PDF manuals and Markdown files. The answer appears in a clean interface built with LangChain UI components, complete with code snippets and version history timestamps. Meanwhile, Checkmate monitors the backend services in real time, ready to alert if query latency spikes above acceptable thresholds. This isn't magic, it's architecture. Let's break down how these components work together. At the core, LangChain provides the AI orchestration layer, turning natural language questions into structured data requests. It uses retrieval-augmented generation to find relevant documents from your Memos knowledge base, which serves as the single source of truth for operational procedures. The LangChain UI library powers the front end, giving operations teams a polished interface with minimal development effort. Authentication happens through Microsoft's MSAL library, ensuring only authorized employees see sensitive information. And while all this happens, Checkmate's monitoring agents track system health metrics, providing operational visibility without adding complexity to the user-facing product. Each component has a clear responsibility. LangChain handles the intelligence, Memos stores the institutional knowledge, LangChain UI creates the user experience, MSAL secures access, and Checkmate maintains reliability. Together, they transform static documents into an interactive workspace where knowledge flows securely and contextually to the people who need it most. In the next section, we'll examine how these pieces integrate at the data layer, creating a permission-aware search ecosystem that respects both document ownership and user roles. As we delve into the inner workings of our product, let's follow a request through the complete data flow to understand how each repository contributes to the overall functionality. When a user initiates a search query, the UI repository's front-end components handle the input and send a request to the Memos backend via the REST API. The Memos API contract specifies that the request should contain the search query and any relevant filters or sorting options. Upon receiving the request, Memos queries its storage entities, which are designed to store and manage notes and documents. Memos then returns a list of relevant results to the UI repository, which renders the search results to the user. However, to provide more accurate and context-aware search results, the UI repository also sends a request to the LangChain repository, which leverages its language model capabilities to analyze the search query and provide suggestions or related concepts. The LangChain repository, with its chain RAG, agent, tool, and memory abstractions, enables the development of AI-powered applications that can understand and respond to user queries. In this case, LangChain's API analyzes the search query and returns a set of relevant keywords or phrases that can be used to refine the search results. This output is then sent back to the UI repository, which updates the search results accordingly. To ensure that the search results are permission-aware, the UI repository also interacts with the Microsoft Authentication library for GA's repository, which handles authentication and authorization using Microsoft's Entra ID and Azure AD. The Authentication library verifies the user's identity and permissions, ensuring that they can only access authorized documents and notes. As the user interacts with the search results, the Checkmate repository monitors the system's uptime and performance, providing real-time alerts and reports on any issues that may arise. This ensures that the system remains stable and responsive, even under heavy loads. Throughout this process, each repository hands work to the next, seamlessly integrating their respective functionalities to provide a cohesive and powerful search and answer workspace. The data flow is facilitated by well-defined API contracts, events, and storage entities, which enable the repositories to work together in harmony. Start by standing up Microsoft Authentication. First, it's the foundation for permission-aware access. Use MSALGs to handle auth flows, integrating it with LangChain's agent workflows to enforce role-based document access during query processing. Next, deploy Memos as your document store. Use its REST API to ingest internal documents, setting visibility flags during upload to mirror team-specific permissions. Keep it lightweight with SQLite for local dev, but plan for PostgreSQL in production for scalability. For local development, use Docker Compose to spin up Memos, Checkmate's capture agent for system monitoring, and a minimal LangChain server. Mock authentication initially with hard-coded test users to focus on core workflows, document upload, search, and answer generation. Write unit tests for permission checks like ensuring a finance team member can't access engineering docs using LangChain's mock LLM interfaces. Test Memos API error responses for unauthorized access attempts. Background jobs come in two flavors. First, LangChain's periodic reindexing of Memos documents using vector stores. Schedule this via Celery or Node Schedule, depending on your stack. Second, Checkmate's uptime checks and system metrics collection, which should run every 5 minutes. Use BullMQ or Redisq for job orchestration, ensuring failed indexings retrieve gracefully. Production deployment starts with Kubernetes for scalability. Use Helm charts to deploy Memos with PostgreSQL, LangChain workers as stateless services, and the UI as a Next.js app behind a CDN. Enforce HTTPS with Let's Encrypt. For auth, deploy MSALGs with Azure AD integration, mapping Azure groups to document permissions in Memos. Set up Checkmate with its capture agents on each server, pushing metrics to Prometheus and alerts through Slack or Teams webhooks. Monitor everything with Checkmate's dashboard, tracking not just uptime but also LangChain's prompt processing times and Memos query latency. Use logging aggregation ELK or Datadog to trace permission errors or failed searches back to specific users or documents. Keep the UI stateless, using JWT tokens stored in HTTP-only cookies for secure session management. Finally, test the end-to-end flow. A user logs in, sees only their permitted docs, searches for Q4 server costs, and gets an answer generated by LangChain pulling from Memos. Verify that if they try to access a restricted doc, the UI gracefully shows an error and logs the attempt. That's your baseline MVP. Iterate from there with A/B testing on answer accuracy and permission edge cases. To tie this system together, start by standing up Memos as your document backbone. Deploy it via Docker Compose using Docker Compose upd from its predefined YML file. Then access the UI at localhost 5230. Set Memos env production and configure your database connection string via DB URL to use PostgreSQL or MySQL instead of the default SQLite. Memos uses MIT licensing, so you're free to customize its Go code or REST APIs for internal workflows. For the AI layer, initialize LangChain with pip install LangChain or npm install LangChain depending on your stack. Connect it to Memos by setting Memos API URL in your environment variables to point to your node server. Use LangChain's RAG module to index documents, ensuring you've configured LLM provider and API key for your chosen model. Note that while LangChain itself is open source, MIT, the LLM backend may incur costs. On the front end, pull in Chatn UI components with npm install at Chatn UI and wrap them in a Next.js app. Customize themes by overriding CSS modules or extending components directly. For authentication, integrate MSALGs with npm install at Azure MSAL browser. Then set React app client ID and React app tenant ID to connect to Azure AD. This enables SO for your ops team without forking code. Finally, monitor the whole stack with Checkmate. Run Docker Compose upd from its repo to launch the all-in-one container, then navigate to localhost 53345. Set client host if you're on a custom domain, and deploy the optional capture agent on servers with curls SL for hardware metrics. Checkmate uses MIT licensing but requires MongoDB for persistence. One concrete step you can take today: clone Memos, spin up the Docker Compose file, and secure it with basic auth by setting Memos basic auth username and Memos basic auth password. What's your current strategy for controlling document access across tools?